This is not my first time at the rodeo. I have done this before. What I want to talk about today are ketogenic and low carb diets. You guys have tons of questions about this. For me, it's a great way to kind of reset, to adjust from feeling hungry all the time to eating a great satiating meal and being able to go a lot longer between that until I need to eat again. When I'm really focusing on keto, meaning very low carb, getting my body into a fat burning state, I focus on eating around 30 to 35 grams of carbohydrates total per day. How does this affect workouts? If you're doing high intensity training or CrossFit, I don't recommend eating a low carb diet. It just doesn't jive with that type of training. Now, one way you can approach that is to eat low carb most of the time and refuel carbohydrates after the workout. This is not new information, you guys. Nothing I am saying right now is new. I've been saying the same information for years. If you're doing high intensity interval training or CrossFit, it's probably going to feel better for you eating more carbohydrates after a workout to refuel. I lift weights in the morning. I've been training fasted for a couple of years now. I've done it when I wasn't eating low carb. I'm doing it as I am now eating low carb, and I feel the same either way. I feel great training fasted in the morning. I do bodybuilding style workouts. I posted about it on the blog. You guys can check it out. Head over to the blog and you'll see that post. I would generally not recommend doing marathon training with keto, but there are plenty of people who say that they're fat adapted, and if you're running at a lower intensity, then you can run as a fat adapted athlete. There are lots of people who do it. They might carb load so that they can initially fuel that race on carbs and then continue to fuel the race on fat after that. Do I feel that they have a place in mine? No. Stevia, I don't feel is an artificial sweetener. It is a non-caloric sweetener, and I sometimes use it. It's in one of the protein powders that I use a tiny bit of here and there, but I even used a little bit of maple syrup today in something. It was literally half a teaspoon. That's a couple of grams of carbs, not a big deal. You just have to count it in the overall of what you're doing. What about getting enough fiber? What's the question there? If you want to know what you're eating, enter it into a calculator. Go to nutritiondata.com, go to fitday.com, find a resource online that will tell you what's in a certain food. Flip over the package if it has a package. If you want to eat a certain amount of fiber a day, then look at what you're eating and make sure you're eating enough of it. And not everybody needs the same amount of fiber. You guys have seen me post over on Instagram platefuls of vegetables, okay? This is not a zero vegetable diet, but if you want to be eating a healthy keto diet and you want to do it kind of more paleo, then you can't be eating random stuff that has lots of carbs. You've got to get your carbs from vegetables. One of the things that I do is, in order to make it more of a sustainable lifestyle for myself, is have one day a week where I will eat more carbs. So like a Saturday, for example. And for my body, that works. For some people, and this is something I think that's covered in the new keto diet book, for some people, you might eat super low carb all day and have some carbs at night. That's, for me as an abstainer, for me to do it every single day is not going to work. Part of figuring out what's going to work for you is partially nutritionally and carbs and grams and all that stuff, but part of it's also figuring out what's your personality type. And if your personality type doesn't mesh with a certain way of eating, well then good luck making it work. Some people try to eat really low protein on keto because they're worried that if you eat too much protein, you're going to create more sugar from it through gluconeogenesis, which converts protein into carbohydrate. And according to Chris Masterjohn, that really doesn't happen that commonly, and it doesn't convert that much at a time. And also, I was learning a little bit more from Jimmy Moore about this, and he said that for folks who are a little bit more athletic, that can be a good thing. So that tends to be where I fall. I'm a little bit more athletic. I weight train 5 days a week, and I eat very low carb, but I eat a pretty good amount of protein, and if some of that protein might convert to glucose, that's fine. It's going to help fuel a little bit more athletic activity. I would say it's definitely easier each time because I know what foods to eat, I know how my body's going to respond, I know what to expect. Favorite benefit from a keto diet is being able to go longer between meals without eating. That's my favorite benefit, especially when I travel a lot, especially when I just am busy throughout the day and I don't want to have to be hungry all the time. I find it really annoying to be hungry. The meal plan and practical paleo for blood sugar regulation is definitely low carb. It's not very specifically ketogenic, but if you want something to follow, that meal plan will be excellent for you. When you ask me, tell me exactly what to do, well, that's where I'm going to point you. I've written 14 different meal plans for 30 days, if you want to know exactly what to do for a different health condition, if you want the handheld step-by-step, it's not going to be done in this video because I'm limited to however many minutes I talk to you right here and whatever questions you ask. But if you use a book that's a resource that I've taken time to sit down and write, then that's where you're going to get tons more information. Eating keto during a stressful time can be really helpful because it can keep you from needing to eat so often. But for me, the handful of times that I've been more stressed, like writing books, it's not really been the right match for me because it just really limits what I'm eating. And unless you were eating that way going into a stressful time, it can just be more stressful. So it may or may not be the right thing. Honestly, all the questions about should you do this or should you do that, I don't like to answer questions like that. Because that's a question for me, like, should I do this or should I do something else? I don't know what you should do. You need to do what works for you. And so everyone's got to figure out what works for them. My best experience with this is my own self-experimentation, and that's what you need to do. You need to try it and see how you feel. Now, the one caveat there is you can't do this for 3 to 7 days and expect to feel miraculous, because that's not how this works. When you shift from burning sugar to burning fat for fuel, it's often uncomfortable for 1 to 2, maybe even 3 weeks, depending on what you were eating before. Now, if you weren't eating tons of carbohydrates before, it's probably not going to be that uncomfortable for you to make the switch. But if you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, it's not going to feel good to make the switch, and you need to give it some time. Here's the thing, you guys, a lot of the questions that you have, you need to understand more about the theory of why this works and how it works and for whom it works. And then the decisions you make on a daily basis about, like, how does broth fit in? Do I eat all my carbs at one meal? That's for you to figure out once you kind of know the rules of the game. Asking me that stuff doesn't help you become a better thinker in your everyday life. And I'm not here to make decisions for you. I'm not here to absolve you of that responsibility. I think it's really important for you guys to understand why you're doing something, why it works and how it works, and then apply that critical thinking to every decision you need to make throughout the day. That's how changing your lifestyle works. Otherwise, you're just on a diet. And yes, sometimes people call it a keto diet. I'm not really interested in talking about it in that sense where it's like you're only going to do it for a short period of time, or you're going to do it without thinking and not try and learn what it's all about. I'm tired of not being honest about how I feel about all of this. I'm tired of not being honest about the types of questions that people ask. I'm tired of not being honest or giving you my real reaction to what you want to know. A lot of it is totally fair, and I get that you want to know certain things from me. I get that, but I am not an expert on you and your body. This is me, and I'm not everyone. You all want a set of strict rules. You all want to be told exactly what to do. You want to just like robot through it and not think. And I know that's not everyone. I know some of you are like, no, I really want to think about it. But sometimes the types of questions that you might ask, you're telling me that you don't want to think. And I'm telling you right now that you have to think for yourself. And it's fair to get a little bit of guidance, but take a little bit and then run with it. You know what I mean? You guys need to have the mindset that you will figure it out. You need to trust yourself. You need to be able to do some research and figure things out. Just because you're not an expert on nutrition right now doesn't mean you can't dig in and start learning more. There's plenty of information available. If you think this is rude, if you think that this is anything other than me trying to help you and encourage you to enable and empower yourself, if you find me rude or off-putting or you don't like it, don't watch it. You guys, I don't really care. I need the people who are here with me to be thoughtful and critical thinking, and I don't want you to be sheep, and I don't want you to follow what I'm doing just because I'm doing it. And if that's what you want, that's cool. I'm just not for you, and that's okay.
That's all I've got for you guys today. Remember, I post new videos every week. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any. Leave me a comment to let me know what you think of this video, or to share what you want to learn more about from me. I'll see you next week.
I'm not here to make decisions for you. I'm not here to absolve you of that responsibility. I think it's really important for you guys to understand why you're doing something, why it works and how it works, and then apply that critical thinking to every decision you need to make throughout the day. Thanks you guys for joining me. I'll see you next time.